Hey, everybody, welcome to a new episode of Walk of Faith. I'm excited to be sitting down with Sean McNamara, who's a screenwriter, producer, director. Sean, honestly, it's a pleasure to speak with you. Like I said off camera, in the past week, at least five people have brought up your name, and it's all been positive. And I just want to thank you for this opportunity.
Craig, thanks for having me on your show. I can't wait to start talking about the movies.
Yeah, and just so you know, Alexis called you the bomb diggity. I'm not sure what that means, but
She's amazing. She helped us when we were putting Reagan out into the world, and she was fantastic working with her and John Voight. She was amazing.
and that was an amazing film. But today we're here to talk about Bao, the artist at war. And
Yes.
I got first, right away I'm watching this movie, and I'm connected to the sound design, right? The color, the saturation. I'm like, it reminded me of this Charlie Chaplin film, like that era, the film noir. And as I'm watching it, right, I get to the end, and and I want you to tell more about the story, but I realize, and I hope this is accurate, but when he says always find joy in life no matter the circumstances, that sort of put the whole film together. But there are people that are not familiar with his story, Joseph and Rebecca Bau. If you could tell us a little about the story and what sort of called you to work on this project, especially now.
So, very interesting. Just to start with, if you saw Schindler's List, there's a couple who get married in the Plaszow barracks, and they were also featured in Steven Spielberg's movie at the end when they were laying the rocks on Schindler's grave. So, Deborah Schmiercznik, who's the writer and the producer of this movie, she went to Israel, got the rights to the story from the daughters, Leela and Hadassah, and then she spent years writing the script, and some acquaintances I know got the script to me, and I was just blown away. How does a couple get married in, Holocaust times in a Plaszow barracks? I read the script and I just thought it was amazing as is. And so we got together. We traveled to, all of a sudden, we had the money to make it. We traveled to Poland, to scout locations. We traveled to Romania. We were traveling Bulgaria, Ireland. We were trying to figure out how to do it, how to pull it off. And then we were finally in Krakow, in that beautiful city in Poland, right when COVID hit. We were literally there. And they were ready to give us money to shoot there. We were ready to go. But then everybody said, you got to go home. It's this pandemic and all of that stuff. And so we got basically shut down for 2 or 3 years. And so then, when COVID slowed down a little bit, we got it back into production, and we were able to tell the story about these two young lovers who met at the camp, and maybe right before they knew each other, but not really. They really got to know each other at the camp, and they were separated. The men and the women were separated, but they fell in love. And he was an artist, and he literally saved hundreds, if not thousands, of lives by taking and making passports for them, forging the signatures, doing what they would do. And they had this complex plan so that when somebody outside with a German name or a Polish name would die, they were able to take their names, use them, build new passports, and get them out of the barracks. So that's what he did. And then she came in supported, and she was part of the resistance also. And that was kind of how they formed their love relationship to start with that. And they literally kept it a secret. I mean, can you imagine trying to keep something like that a secret? And they were married and consummated the wedding in the female barracks when they were there. And then they got married again afterwards, after the war and all of that stuff. But it is the most extraordinary love story. And what Joseph's Bow thing was, you got to find the joy in life, even in the worst circumstances. And with my research, I found most of the people who survived the Holocaust were able to do that. They found something worth living for. They found joy in the little things, and that kept them alive until the end of the war so that they could go and tell their story.
That is powerful. Yeah, you're right. I've read that too. Even there's a name that comes to mind, Father Capon. Like you hear these stories about when they're being, tortured or in the concentration camps, and they lean on something. And when you said that, it really hit me. And I wasn't familiar with. I mean, I know Schindler's List, but I didn't realize that actually people got married in the concentration camps. And then I read that I think there wasn't many people.
Oh,
And
they didn't. That was the thing. This was secret. It was very secret.
And you show that and depict that in the film in a sort of a fun way. And I don't want to give away too much. What I love too about the story is I just started diving into the research afterwards and to see the legacy that continues, right? They called him Walt Disney of Israel, to see his daughters continue the legacy with the museum. And she said in an interview that if he was to ever come back, his work was left the way it, the way he left it. And they didn't know that he was like did stuff for, I don't want to say spies, but he would always ask them to go to the store and do certain things because he would have these secret meetings, and he lived an extraordinary life. When in the beginning of the film, which I thought was powerful, especially when the father, and I mean, this doesn't give away much, but he was scolding him for the laughter, and he felt like laughter would could lead to persecution. And we realize, like you said, laughter and love and joy, especially in those harsh conditions, that's what you lean on. In your life, I mean, I'm assuming you leaned on laughter or entertainment when you were going through some harsh times, right?
Yeah, and I think you nailed it on the head. When we go through harsh times, it's nothing near what they were going through. To be, literally kidnapped out of your house, thrown first into the ghetto in Krakow, and then into these concentration camps in Plaszow. It's amazing. But to going back to what you said, what he did afterwards, he moved his family to Israel and started doing animation. And his animation's really cool. It's very interesting and distinct. And he did this museum, and he was just incredible. That what he did, and that his office is the museum. It's still there. And he literally, why they call him the Walt Disney of Israel is because he did all this animation. And you look at it, and it was at a time which was amazing, but he was also this incredible artist. And he did these paintings, he even did them on little cards, and he did them in the concentration camp and slipped them to people just to give them joy. Then, when he was in Israel afterwards, he kept up with his art, kept up with his animation, and secretly, and the daughters didn't know this till after he passed, he joined the Mossad. And
Hmm.
he continued to rescue people and continued to do the business that they needed to help track down some of the SS guards and so forth. And at first he didn't want to go to the trial in Austria because it was behind him. There was enough, but they said without testimony from someone like him, they couldn't put these guys away. And so he risked his life. Rebecca risked her life. And that's what makes this amazing. Not only are they amazing lovers who found each other, they ended up having kids, and their legacy goes on up to the point of that we're doing this movie now that, opens nationwide on September 26th.
Wow. And like you said, it was this selfless acts of love. I mean, just think about from the little from and Rebecca too, but to do those animations knowing that if you got caught, you'd be executed. And he did at certain points, like I thought they were gonna kill him several times. And even she risked her life. And that the way it ends when you involve, Oscar Schindler and you see that sort of that scene, it was so powerful. Like I said, I was moved. And when I got to the end and I just saw that one line, in the credits, and most of the time when we review films, it's over, but I was drawn to that. And I really reflected on it a lot. And today I was looking up a lot and really watching these interviews about who he was. So when you do research, just like me, I mean, no matter how many times I've watched films on World War II concentration camps, I still can't get past this hatred that they had towards, a lot of people. What what did you like when you were doing the research? What had really sort of stuck out beyond the positive side of Joseph and Rebecca's life? What's something that really, I don't know, hit you where you were surprised to even read or see?
Well, during the research, we were blessed to be able to go there. We went to Auschwitz and we saw the real places over there. Plaszow is now a dog park. They've taken down the barracks, and it's a beautiful park with trees, and there's a couple of little like rubble stones there, but it's oddly beautiful now. But they have signs there of what was there. Gruen's office is still there. There are some of the houses that you saw in Schindler's List is still there. But what struck me the most is that the people that did have desperation, they have these electric fences, and that in order to commit suicide, people would just run into the fence and electrocute themselves. And I'd never heard of that before. I'd never seen anything like that before. And that sort of horror, if you were living around that, how could you live? But the point was he would like pray for them and then move on and bring joy to other people's life. And that's what, I think the world needs now, right? A lot of people to just bring joy to other people's life and kindness. And and by the way, when I made this film, it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it was before October 7th. So I thought, okay, I'm telling a tale that happened 70, 80 years ago to remind people of where things could go badly. And now we are in a situation in the world where you're going, it's not that far away. Things could go badly very quickly. I just always thought of the world in the 30s and 40s as black and white and history and past. But the fact that things can still happen like that today is just crazy to me. So that's why more than ever, I feel like people need to see this movie and they need to see it in the theater. It's interesting. It's a 2 hour movie and they've got to watch the whole thing without stopping because it's intense, but it is very comical moments, very humorous moments. And that was him. He would be like a Robin Williams of today, that he could keep people laughing and joking, completely inappropriate, but still he reached people by being having a sunny disposition and being the sunshine in their lives.
Agree. And that's why I think right away, like I said, the music, the score, I was like, it just reminded me of Charlie Chaplin. But in a, obviously not in such a comedic way, but it took a situation that was hard for me to process and hard for me to watch, thinking about the Holocaust and the concentration camp, but then added a little humor because it was through Joseph's eyes. I felt like it was being told how he would tell the story through his own personality and persona. And I think God, like you said earlier, COVID is something we keep saying, but I think in a sense, God wanted you to wait because this is the exact right time for this story to be told. And if it would have been told 5 years ago, it still would have had an impact. But I think now it will have a stronger impact. And I agree. Watching it on the computer, it was good, but I was distracted, right? Who's talking, what's happening. Going to the theater and experiencing this grand set, right? And the locations and the music and the dancing, I said, it was powerful. So what do you hope people walk away with after watching this film?
Well, Craig, I totally agree with you. Every film I've ever done, I go the right people and the right group of people and timing is like from above. We have no connection. So if something gets stalled or something like that, I go, there's a bigger purpose for this. And there is a reason why it's come out later. And I think you're absolutely right. But what I want people to come away with this is no matter how badly the world can get and the problems and the disagreements we have, if you show kindness to each other and just try to find joy and try to find love, you can make the world a better place. And he clearly did. And it's really hard to remember that in today's world because of the social media and what you see, and it's all kind of up in your face. You get numb to it all. But we need to see movies like this where you walk away to find that you can find true love. You can find things in the simplest places and look for it, and you can be the face of change if you do that. And no matter how badly something gets, just ask God, please just help me. I can't do this alone. I need your help. And this is what, I'm known for doing faith based, faith adjacent. And the thing I've always said to people is I go, and it's of all faiths, whatever your religion is, whatever it is, we're all trying to do the right thing and do right for God and for people. So that's what I'm trying to do with Bow Artist at War.
And you have, and like you said, you emphasize unconditional love, show unconditional love. The story quickly was Father Kapan. He was in a concentration camp, and I think it was North Korea, and he was on his way to be killed. And he made sure that they brought it. He was brought to every soldier, the ones that were holding him captive and beat him, to tell them that he loved them and he forgave them. Imagine that, the compassion, the unconditional love, how this world could be transformed if we actually showed love and compassion, unconditional love, the way we're called to. That would really make a change. And a film like you just created, right? Bow Artists of War has the ability to at least plant that seed or have us walk away and reflect on that, right? What would I do in that situation? Unconditional love, laughter, the power. And I would advise people to watch the credits at the end because I'm telling you, that really hit me. And spent some time looking up who Joseph was and his wife, Rebecca. So, where can people find out more information about the film or when is it being released? On what platform?
All right, so first it's going out theatrical nationwide on September 26th. And I'd really like to ask your viewers to try to get their opening weekend because when the box office does a certain number opening weekend, people start to take note that this is a movie worth watching. And I know that sounds crazy. It'll eventually go through the theaters for, say, 6, 8 weeks, and then it'll go to the streaming. But when it gets to a lot of people go to see it, then they put it out and it's available everywhere. And so, any rate, so nationwide, all theaters, AMC, Regal, Cinemark, it's there everywhere. And that is September 26th, and it's coming up soon.
Sean, you're right. We need to support these films in the theaters because then people say, well, they're not enough faith-based films. We'll go to the theater and see it. Don't wait for it to come out on a streaming platform. It first of all, it has I have my son yelling, the dogs yelling. It is not the same experience. Go to the theaters and watch and support these movies, these films. You gotta
Agreed.
support these films. I mean, they really I'm so impacted by faith-based films. I walk away every time I watch a film, I'm either crying or I'm reflecting on something that God is somehow he's speaking to my heart. And that's what this film, it was the credits at the end. It sort of put everything together. And then to spend 10 minutes just reading and looking up who he was, I said, oh my God, I can learn so much from this man. And Sean, your films continue to inspire a lot of people. I mean, and I appreciate your time and we will support you, Sean. We will support this film.
Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate it, Craig. I think people will have the experience that you had when they're able to watch it and sit down and watch it. You're going to learn about these two characters, like we fell in love with, Schindler. I think people are going to fall in love with Joseph and Rebecca Bau.
I agree. Well, Sean, thank you so much for your time. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Walk in Faith. Always remember, you have the ability to inspire and evangelize through words and actions. God bless you.